Hi there! Welcome to our Minicourse, Communication Secrets of Localization Leaders. We are Cissy Liu Ren Yi. We are taking a great class called Leadership in Localization Management at the Middlebury Institute of International Studies. This mini-course is the final deliverable of the Genius Hour projects as part of that course. I hope you can enjoy this course and learn a lot from it. Before we start, we'd like to express our thankfulness to our professor, Eva, who gave us great instructions along the way and have been super helpful and supportive. Thank you, Eva. Also, we'd like to thank all of the localization leaders who generously took their time to provide us with their insights and stories of how localization leaders communicate. This project couldn't have been a success without you. Thank you, everyone. To succeed in the localization industry, you have to be strong in communication, no matter what your role is, said one of our interviewees in our research. As a core piece of their jobs, localization leaders have to communicate efficiently daily across functionality, cultures, and hierarchy, which is both challenging and rewarding. Then naturally, we can't help asking, what are the communication secrets of leaders in our industry that make them stand out or succeed? With this question in mind, we conducted research combining surveys and one-on-one interviews on local leaders, collecting insights and wisdom from them and giving back to the community. In this course, we will walk you through the following 4 topics. First, what are the critical characteristics in effective localization communications from a leader? And related to that, what behaviors are most observed in a successful communicator? The second is about communication style, namely, how do our localization leaders identify themselves in terms of communication styles? How have their styles changed over time, along with their career advancements? And then in the third part of the course, we will introduce the everyday lessons and challenges in communication shared by our interviewees. Last but not the least, in the fourth part, we collected tips our leaders shared with young professionals who strive to grow into someone like them. These are all practical pieces of advice I strongly recommend that you take notes of and practice. So let's get started. According to our survey participants, effective communications from localization leaders have these 4 characteristics: motivating, transparent, honest, and respectful. Let me explain them one by one for you. First, effective communications are motivating. Many of us work in a diverse working environment, with team members from various cultures and having different working styles. As a crucial part of localization profession's job, leading or communicating cross-functional also means that we frequently talk to people with diverse backgrounds and get their support. Being motivating, encouraging, and confident means that you're a leader that everyone in the team feels comfortable talking to. In addition, an ability to motivate your audience will also generate commitment, team spirit, and engagement with the topic at hand. Transparent, honest, and respectful usually go together in effective communications as they are pretty similar in many cases. These 3 characteristics are essential in building trust with your team. When you're being transparent and honest, people don't think that you're wasting their time, and you avoid the risk of contradicting yourself, either through a session or over time. Also, you're showing your vulnerability, which is vital to building relationships. The key is that you might not have all the answers, and you should be honest about that. And you should do your best to try to find them and grow. These characteristics also are essential to ensure your messages get across to the audience. As localization is a job related to many various functions, your communication needs to be clear and transparent so that everybody has a better understanding of your points. Lastly, when you're showing your honesty and respect to others, your personal links are strengthened, and you inspire others to act in the same way. Before we conclude this part, I'd like to remind you that sometimes it may be hard to be completely transparent in certain situations. For example, as a manager, you can't tell everything to your employees in every situation according to the company policy and requirements. And certain political factors in the workplace could also make complete transparency difficult. In these cases, you need to analyze the situation based on your own judgments and see what the best move is. Now, let's move on to the behavior side. Based on the survey results, effective communicators in our industry listen carefully, adapt their communication styles according to the audiences, are present in the communication, and ask open-ended questions. Active listening is the basis of any effective communication for the following reasons. First, generally, localization professionals are immigrants, multilinguals, or multicultural. It's vital to focus on listening to the team to understand and communicate clearly back to them. Active listening means not only listen to what your team is saying, but also not saying. The ability to read between the lines helps you uncover what your team's real challenges and frustrations are. Finally, listening actively is key for ensuring that you don't become isolated in your views and opinions and can be seen as part of the group you are engaging in. As a reminder, bear in mind that this means listen to understand, but not listen to answer. Try to avoid preparing your answers while listening. The primary purpose of your listening should be to understand what the other party is trying to convey. Then you can respond accordingly. The second vital behavior observed in communication is to adapt communication styles or strategies based on your audience. This can be culturally or linguistically, meaning that you respect different cultures' norms or apply different wordings or speed in your communications depending on who your audiences are. It can also be about adapting your strategies based on what team or role you're talking to. To succeed, localization people need to learn to speak the business language, especially when communicating with the company's senior leadership, and convert the value of your work into languages that they understand, for example, corporate finance language. In a word, make sure that you know your audience and adapt your content and delivery accordingly. Thirdly, be present in your communication. This one is easy to understand because it is closely related to being honest and respectful in the communications. It shows people that you genuinely care about your interactions and can win trust for you. Lastly, ask open-ended questions. It stimulates discussions and invites others to open up and share information freely. When you get more information from others, it's easier for your projects to align with the real business needs and help solve real operational problems. And these can help you win over your stakeholders during your communications. We asked localization leaders, how would you identify your own communication style during the interview? The most popular answers we got are direct, authentic, and honest. Many people mention that as they progress in their careers, they become more direct and open in their communications. Probably that's because that's the standard way of communication in many American workplaces and the most cost-efficient way for people to navigate in a culturally diverse group, which is very common in our industry. But be aware that you need to be adaptive, especially when you're talking to people in a more indirect culture. Be diplomatic enough so you're not considered blunt or rude. Also, young professionals may find it very hard to be direct in their early careers, and it's totally fine. As you grow more in the industry, your confidence and experience also increase and can back you up to be more direct. Authenticity is the new currency, said one of our interviewees. In this era where people connect with each other more via new technologies like Instagram and Clubhouse, it's getting harder and harder to fake authenticity. It makes people trust you more and understand where you're coming from when you're being true to yourself. In addition, it contributes to your mental wellness. This point might sound a little bit contradictory to what we just introduced, adapt to your communication style. But the idea is that even styles, wording, speed could change in your communications. Your core values and authenticity still should be kept. So people feel your sincerity and caring. And lastly, here we go again, honest. You should see the great importance of honesty in communications now.
It is common that our careers are not quite linear or smooth. We grow by learning from our own experiences. And communication is one of the areas where we can constantly improve. Through our research, we collected many stories from localization leaders where they learned to be a better communicator. Now, you will watch 5 scenarios, and each of them carries a key lesson. We want to share these lessons because they're echoed by other participants in our interviews, and we think they will be helpful in your careers as well. We hope you can take note of the behaviors in the scenarios and have your own reflection. In scenario 1, Ren has been a localization program manager contractor for a company for 3 years. She has stellar performance, but there had been no headcount for her to be converted into an employee. She just learned that there's a vacancy for the localization program manager role in her team, but she's not sure how her manager would fill this position. She really wants to take the role, so she decides to talk to her manager, Cissy. Hi, Cissy. How are you?
Good, good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. I'm just trying to call you because I know that there's you're looking for a new localization program manager, and I just want to know if there's anything that we need to prepare for.
Yeah, definitely. What I can tell you is that we are super excited that we finally get a headcount, and everybody is looking forward to this new colleague. And we've been preparing a lot for online posting and the workflow of the interviews and stuff like that. Yeah, so definitely we are very busy these days.
I see. What kind of people are you looking for?
Yeah, definitely someone with rich experience in localization and who is familiar with localization workflows and have the relationship building skills and experience. But I'm very confident that we can find someone like that. We have a lot of competent candidates in the pipeline.
Yeah. That's good to hear. That's great. So you can let me know if you need anything from me. I can give you the information or any support,
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Thank you, Ren.
Of course. Clearly, Ren wasn't able to let Cissy know she was interested in and perfect for this position. As one of the leaders put it, a lack of transparency is usually the biggest source of problem. Imagine what it would be like if Ren could be more transparent and open about what she wants to achieve. Even if in the end she couldn't get the role, at least she made her position clear, and Cissy would know what Ren has contributed to the team and why Ren would be a good candidate for the role. Try to communicate your needs clearly. This can help people understand you better, and it will be easier for you to achieve your goals. Now, let's watch the second story. In this story, Cissy is the director of operations of a startup LSP. She is trying to get updates from her subordinate Ren, the quality program manager.
Hi, Ren.
Hi, Cissy. What's up?
It just occurred to me that we have a boarding meeting with F company. Can you send me some information?
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. We can all be easily overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information nowadays. And it has only been more difficult to organize all the information, especially when we have so many virtual communication channels. As a leader, you definitely don't want to overload your team with information. Prioritize the information and find the right channel to get your message across. You will find that the information is more organized and the work will be more efficient. In the next scenario, Cissy is the lead localization producer at an e-learning company. She is hosting a weekly meeting with her team members.
Hi, everyone. I hope you had a great weekend. Let's get started with our all hands meeting. All right, I almost forgot that we are gonna have a company outings this weekend. I hope you're all excited as I am. It's been a while. I'm sure we'll have a great time. But anyways, let's get started. Ren was new with the vendors we just hired. Our new product launch is due this month, right? Hopefully we won't have vendors like that anymore. We had this vendor that always made late deliveries, which was horrible, and we don't want that to happen again.
Yeah.
And we remove that vendor eventually, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we probably should pay more attention to vendor selection and avoid situations like this. I also need to check if with Larry, see if the due diligence process is improved. Sorry, I ramble a lot now. So Ren, please go ahead and give your updates. Sorry I took so long, but what's new on your end? Can you give an overview of how's going with the vendors? And did you talk to Larry about the new requirements recently?
Yeah. Oof, that was a long monologue. If only Cissy could leave some time for Ren to actually talk and give her the updates. Leaders can have a lot of thoughts, but we also want to be succinct and be mindful of other people's time. One of the localization leaders we interviewed said he would use bullet points to organize his thoughts in a business setting. Having a clear agenda like this definitely helps keep everything professional. And being concise not only saves time but also leaves a good impression on your team members or upstream stakeholders. Another type of result of not being concise is being too specific, as you will see from scenario 4. Ren is a localization project manager. She encountered some challenges in the localization quality and had come up with some ideas to solve the issues. She wanted to report to her manager Cissy in their one-on-one and hopefully receive positive feedback on her ideas and problem-solving skills.
Okay, Ren, tell me about what's going on with your projects.
Yes, sure. So actually, I am having some challenges in the localization quality these days. I received some negative feedback from the customers, and they're saying that there are some jokes in English that are translated very weirdly into Japanese. So about that, I am thinking...
Yeah, I see. Before you move on, let me just tell you a little bit history so that you know this happened before you joined the company. I used to partner with some Japanese stakeholders, and they gave me similar feedback. And I work with the linguist to go through all this feedback with them. And so here's what I think you should do. First, you can talk to the Japanese linguist and see what she thinks, and then you can propose the idea of developing a style guide with her. You might also need help from the program manager on the vendor side, and you can go through the root cause together. Maybe it's because the transitions are done in a rush, so they don't have enough time to review. Does that make sense?
Yes, sure. It does. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay.
2 days later.
Oh, I received feedback from Ren that I didn't leave her much space to tell me what she was planning to do, and I was dominating the conversation. This is very surprising. I think I was just trying to give her some time, some help, and try to save her some time. Yeah, but maybe I should listen more to her before jumping into the conversation and talk too much. Yeah, maybe let me try and talk more to her.
Several months later.
Hi, Cissy. I'd like to talk to you about some challenges I've been having recently with the product team.
Yeah, sure. Tell me about it.
Okay. So the product team has been kind of stubborn, and they're not willing to adopt localization best practices. And there are a lot of localizability issues here and there in their string files.
Yeah, that sounds like a very tricky situation. Tell me more about it.
Yeah, of course. So I actually had a conversation with the key stakeholders in the team and explained to them in detail why that is an issue and how it will impact our release schedule and the customer experience as well. So I also asked them a lot of questions on what their struggles are, and then we came up with a plan together.
Oh, that's nice. I'm really glad to hear that you were able to solve this individually. Great job, Ren.
Thank you.
Is there anything that you need me to support with?
I think right now we're in a good shape.
All right, awesome. I'm sure that you have a long-term plan with the team to design a long-term maybe testing framework. Just a reminder, you know.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's a very good point. Thank you for bringing that up.
Sure.
I'll think more about it and get back to you.
Yeah, sounds good. Let me know if you're ready.
Sure. It's great that Cissy could reflect on herself and give Ren more space for sharing her opinions. Sometimes leaders want to be helpful, so we over-communicate, micromanage, and dominate the conversation. But we forget that we also want to listen to the brilliant ideas from our team members. To quote one of our interviewees, micromanaging is the thing that will kill teams. What we want instead is to empower our teams and let them thrive. In the very last scenario, Ren is the localization program manager who works with product team on language strategies. Cissy is a product manager of a new e-commerce product who has put a lot of work in the new product. One day, they had a meeting to talk about the language experience.
Oh, hi, Ren.
Hi.
Hi. Today I want to discuss with you about our language experience strategy of our new e-commerce website. I think this is a key decision that we need to make before talking about any localization processes, and I already have some ideas that I want to share with you.
Okay, great. Let's hear about them.
Yeah, I was thinking that how the users will select their countries and languages so that the shopping experience will be well adjusted to what serves them best. So the idea is that we will have two drop-down selections, one for country and one for language. So I think this is the best solution.
Hold on. Have you considered other flows for this product?
What do you mean by other flows?
I mean, like for example, the support content.
I don't think that's important. You know, as a product manager, I think I'm the best person to understand our users' needs. Yeah, and I believe only after selecting, they select their countries and can we show the correct UI for their shopping, payment, shipping, selection. So I'm pretty sure about it.
Well, I don't know. I'm not so sure. Maybe we can. I think we need to discuss about this more later because I would suggest that we can take the whole user experience into consideration instead of only, focusing on the e-commerce flow. I mean, usually for localization, we combine the country and language selection and have the country as a sub drop down,
Okay. Yeah. Why don't we just talk about it later? Again, but from a product perspective, I don't think there's anything that we need to discuss, and this definitely is the right way. Yeah.
Okay.
3 days later.
Hi, Cissy.
Oh, hi, Ren.
Hi, I just want to talk to you about the language experience of the e-commerce product. I hope this is a good time for you.
Tell me what you have.
Yeah, sure. So actually, after we talked last time, I did some research, I did some homework, and I looked into the other examples of like Google and Amazon and a lot of other similar websites. And I think I see what you meant at the time. And I also talked to some product manager friends, and they also run e-commerce programs. And I think I got the idea now. I think you're right.
Really?
So for the e-commerce workflow, it's true that from a user flow perspective, having two drop downs would be a good idea.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you finally start to get what I was saying.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've enjoyed this learning experience too. So by the way, do you think the same flow can be applied to the support content, or should we make some small adjustments for that content? Well, what are your thoughts?
Now I'm thinking about it again. And yeah, maybe for the support content flow, we can use a slightly different strategy. So both two sides are natural for the users.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Mhm.
well, then let's set up a time and figure out the details.
Yeah, sure.
Building a mutual understanding is so important. When we have a conflict of interest with others, try to understand the other side of the story. We're localization people, but we don't want to only focus on the localization side of the work. If we can be more empathetic, do more research, and understand other teams better, it is more likely that we can find a middle ground and both sides can get what they want. Other than these challenges, we learned from our survey participants that there are some other common challenges in communication for localization leaders. First, it can be hard to translate localization languages to business languages. Localization is not an end product, but a middle product in the entire business chain. But then how do we create awareness and prove the value of localization to C-level executives? We need to understand what value the organization creates inside the company and be able to translate the actions that localization performs for the company using data. One way of building such persuasive power is to learn accounting. A localization leader with more than 10 years of experience offered this suggestion. Because if we understand accounting, we would be able to sit at the same table with the C-level executives and speak the business language. The second challenge is the fear of being rejected or other failures. This is probably more applicable to young professionals. We haven't experienced or seen enough to be fearless. We might be afraid of talking to people above us because we don't want to be judged and we don't want to make mistakes. But it is also important to remember that it's okay to ask for help or stand out in your own way. Learn to speak up if you know you have a good idea. Contribute to your ideas, ask questions, test things out, take ownership. This is how you grow. Next challenge is finding the balance between direct and diplomatic. We just talked about being able to speak up, but we want to do it nicely instead of being pushy. We also need to be mindful of politics, perhaps more so in larger companies. Try to be a direct and courageous communicator, but in a diplomatic way. Lastly, it can be challenging to work with people that have very different communication styles. As mentioned before, we might want to adapt our communication to different audiences. Know your team. For example, you can invite the team members to complete the same personality test to find out their preferences for communication. An experienced localization leader shared with us that getting to know how to best communicate with her team really changed the team dynamics in a positive way. People can be very different, but leaders can find out how they can complement each other. Hi! We hope what we've shared so far will be helpful to your careers. Before we wrap up, here are some top suggestions the localization leaders gave to young localization professionals, so they can grow into better communicators. First, we can find a mentor and learn from them. Think about what kind of leader you want to be, and find a mentor who has achieved what you want and whose values align with yours. Try to understand why they can be good at something and why that speaks to you. Do what they do to improve yourself. We also want to be real and friendly. This one goes without saying. Never try to be something that goes against your true self. And be friendly so we can better collaborate with others. The final suggestion is to ask for feedback and iterate. Ask for feedback not just from your own team, but also outside of the team. This can help you catch your gap at an early stage and make up for it. When you ask for feedback from your counterpart, it makes you vulnerable and makes your counterpart trust you more. During the research, we came to the realization that many of the tips come from experience. As young professionals, we need to allow ourselves to grow and actively learn lessons along the way. We will build on our soft skills, and communication skills are the essential part of it. We hope you have takeaways from this course. Apply them to your professional development in the localization industry, and become a great localization leader and communicator. We wish you the best of luck.